Hi all, welcome to this special edition of Professor Visa and Education Services News Update. My name is Nish, Mara 1568498, and also Director of Professor Visa and Education Services. Today I've got three main topics to talk about that we can anticipate, after 1st of July. And these are very important changes that I think I should bring it out to you first. Now, the first cab off the rank is I want to talk about Dismant salary requirements for 491 visa holders applying for 191 visa subclass. Now, at this point in time, it appears that Dismant of that $70,000 taxable income does apply to the 491 applying for 191 visa subclass. The industry, the migration industry, is quite firm about these particular changes. Now, how we ascertain that Dismant will be applicable for the 491 visa holders applying for the 191 visa is the applicant, the Schedule 2 of 191 is clear, and I'm reading out from the legislation itself. So if you look at it, the applicant taxable income for each of those relevant income years. So 491 usually looks at the component of relevant income years. And when we say relevant income years is the year when your visa is granted and when you reach your 3 years mark to apply for 191. So it reads out the applicant's taxable income for each of those relevant income years is at least equal to the amount specified in the instrument under the subclass 3 in relation to the applicant. And when we read out the subclass 3, the minister may, by legislative instrument, specify an amount for the purpose of subclass 2 in relation to all applicants for different classes of applicants. So in a layman's term, what does that mean is there's an instrument that talks about the Dismant for 191. And if we're looking at Dismant across the board, so whatever the news that I'm going to talk to you about later down the track is all aligned with the same Dismant salary, which is $70,000, which we talked about in our earlier videos too. So it does look like it will be applicable for the 491 visa holders applying for the 191. But what will be interesting to see is if there is any concession. Concession because it will make no sense for those ones who's already holding 491 visa for last 2-3 years, and they've made the current Dismant requirement of 53,900, and now because of these changes they will be impacted. So I don't think the Department of Home Affairs will be coming up with that sort of sense. So I think there will be some sort of concession for a 491 visa holder, a current 491 visa holder, and it might only be applicable to those ones who will receive their 491 visa after the 1st of July. So that particular part is yet to be announced, and we will get some more news on this and we'll bring it out to you. But at this point in time, fortunately, unfortunately, the Dismant seems to be applicable to the 491 visa holders looking at applying for 191. And again, the concession is something that we're looking at because majority of the people will be feeling quite devastated, especially because 491 is a regional visa. So we're expecting a baker working in the regional area to have $70,000, which kind of doesn't match with the industry norm. What's happening in the regional is completely different to the expectation of Department of Home Affairs. So this particular part has been raised multiple times with the Department of Home Affairs. So we're really hoping there will be a concession for those ones who's already hold a 491 visa subclass. So yeah, so that's that. The other component of the news is the 408 COVID visa. Now, when the 408 COVID visa was initially introduced, it was introduced in a manner that if the World Health Organization announced that there is no more global pandemic, then the applicant will be allowed to, 45 days to change the visa subclass. Now, up until now, there is no such implication on the changes that has been announced yet, but it will be very interesting to keep an eye on the 408 visa subclass announcement by the Department of Home Affairs. But again, the 408 visa subclass was relaxed, and any occupation was allowed to lodge the 408 visa because there was many critical industries such as aged care and nursing homes, where hospitality, we're kind of relying on international student. And if we are to, as a country, to allow people to go back on a student visa, will be kind of still creating that vacuum in that skill space. So the whole reason for Department of Home Affairs to actually relax the rules on 408 was to actually allow people to continuously support the economic crisis that we're having in relation to the skill shortage. So we believe that that 45 days change of visa subclass may not be implemented. But again, it appears that the 408 COVID visa potentially will end 30th of June 2023, which is this month. So those ones who are kind of looking at 408 visa as an option, this will be your month to tap into 408 because from next month, it appears that 408 COVID sector will no longer be available, which means the majority of the people will be looking at applying for, those ones who doesn't have any other visa, and if they wanted to prolong their stay in Australia, then I think the quicker option for people will be then to go and do the student extension. And for that, we wanted to be extremely careful in terms of, GT again. So this is a very important time of the year. There's lots of changes are coming. I know because of the lots of, people are making up the news and videos are making you overwhelmed. But again, that's okay. This is the time of the year that we can anticipate a lot of changes. But again, we will do our best to bring out the most creditable news for you guys so that you can make some plans well in advance. Now, I especially urge people to make their bookings for month of June. It's a very crucial month for people to start making their bookings with the migration agents and start consulting their, future, because it's such an important time of the year. And I cannot regurgitate enough that, if you haven't made the booking already, even with us, with your migration agent, I would suggest that you make it now, because June is a very crucial month. So that will define how you're going to build your strategy in terms of your migration plan for next financial year. Now, moving on to the general skill migration visa, it appears that the independent skill migration program, which was currently assessing the candidate on a several points test requirement, such as age, income, English, and other factors, will be changed to prioritize economic contributions. What does that really mean? It's still murky for this particular area, where the general skill migration visa will no longer have a points. That's what a lot of people are talking about it. It's a little bit, it's still murky because, it's a 1st of June, and then potential changes are sort of proposed from 1st of July. So it's a very important time of the year again to try to understand this. So let's go through this together in this video. Now, with the independent skill migration program changing to a economic contributions priorities, how does it work in tiers? It will work in the tiers. So tier 3, tier 2, tier 1. That's how it usually works. So let's talk about the tier 1. So the tier 1 is a specialized, highly skilled, high salary cohort. So when we say high salary cohort, how does it work? Is if someone's making $98,000 as their taxable income, and there will be a list of specialized and highly skilled occupation. And if you got a job and a person's working in occupation, they don't need to do. It doesn't look like there will be any need for a major logistic. It still appears there will be a skill assessment requirement. So those ones who are doing the skill assessment currently with their nominated occupation, I encourage you to keep doing that. Get yourself ready. Do your skill assessment. Doesn't look like a skill assessment is going anywhere. Now the persons must have a high salary, which is $98,000, and and that's all it says, basically. So no requirements for the person's occupation to be listed on skill occupation list. That's another fantastic news. So if your occupation is considered as a skilled, specialized, highly skilled, high salary cohort, then your occupation doesn't need to be on a skill occupation list. So it's almost like a simplistic version of global talent visa. So your occupation doesn't have to be on a list, But if it's classified as a specialized and highly skilled, high salary, which is $98,000, there seems to be pathway for permanent residency through Tier 1. Now let's talk about Tier 2. Tier 2 is a minimum salary of $70,000, which is the taxable income, which is aligning with the TSMIT salary, which is what we're talking about from last couple of months. Everyone's talking about TSMIT, which is the minimum threshold income that we talked about, which is the temporary skill migration income threshold. That's the full form of the TSMIT. But again, Tier 2. Let's talk about the Tier 2. Tier 2 provides a mainstream skill pathway for people with core skills identified in evidence-based assessment of labour market shortage by Jobs and Skills Australia. And their occupation has to be listed in, the list is called data-driven list, similar to skill occupation list. So first of July, we will need to look at if your occupation is in that data-driven list. And if you're making minimum salary of $70,000, do your skill assessment, bang, apply for permanent residency. Now, in terms of how the new model of this general skill migration visa is, for those cohort who's kind of already working in the field, who's already got the skill assessment, it seems to be a much easier pathway. But then again, it creates lots of challenge for the people who's not working in the field. So again, there is a Tier 3, which is much more specialized, which is more workers in a specific field, a specific sector. Now, Tier 3 is for the people working in essential industries experiencing persistent shortage, such as aged care sector. Now, aged care in Tier 3, and we talked about the aged care and sponsorship visa too. Now, I don't want to mix, the labour market agreement sponsorship through aged care into Tier 3 aged care. So I don't want to confuse this video with the labour agreement of sponsorship visa, which I will make a separate video. But I'm more talking about the temporary skill migration, tiers here, okay, where we could apply for permanent residency through, it appears through aged care. So for those one who's actually working in aged care, could potentially also apply for, permanent residency if the workers are making less than $70,000. That's okay. But if they're classified as industries, essential industries, then you can apply for it. Now, there will be some sort of requirements here. Of course, skill assessment. It appears NMAC would be the assessing body for this occupation up until now, because that's the assessing body for the labour agreement 482 visas. So for Tier 3, the workers in a specific sectors earning less than $70,000 could be also benefiting this. So I'm not sure, because from the face value, it appears that essential industry could be hospitality, could be aged care, and there's a range of industry, where it's been classified as essential during the COVID period. But again, the essential industry seems to be changing over the time, so it'll be worthwhile to actually wait for that list to come out where the classification is there. So in terms of whatever the point system that we had, instead of whatever the general skill migration point system we had up until now, if you actually forget about that, whatever you're understanding, just wipe it out and just get ready for this new tier system, because there'll be a lot to understand in order to grasp the concept of this Department of Home Affairs bringing out this new economic-driven channel or pathways to apply for permanent residency. So again, every financial year we have, quite challenging year of, understanding the new rules and the new legislative requirements, new pathways to permanent residency. We will try to simplify the things for you guys so that it's not too overwhelming, and maybe before you establish the permanent residency is too hard or too easy. It's just a matter of understanding where do you fall under this category, under these new changes, and understanding what will be your new strategy. So again, I made this clear in my last video. I wanted to make this clear on this video too. There is no such thing as easy and difficult. It's more about finding the strategy, where do you fit in, and how to plan out for your future in relation to applying permanent residency in this country. So now, thank you for watching. There's 3 major topics that I'm talked on this video today. I hope this was helpful for those ones who's extremely anticipating the clarity on this area. Now, again, if there is more clarity, there's more news coming out is extremely busy month for us to catching up with the new rules and regulations and policies so that we can bring out the most creditable news. Again, if you are, concerned, and if you are, wanted to plan out things well in advance, come and talk to us. Now, the June especially is the particular month. Again, I can't reiterate. Make a booking. Come and talk to us. Okay, we're located at 1203 87 Liverpool Street in Sydney. We are also located in Tasmania and Hobart. Soon, we're thinking about bringing out the branch in Melbourne. But again, up until such time, we have Kaushal doing the online video consultation, and Bipul and myself are doing our face-to-face consultation here in Sydney. Ritesh is doing the face-to-face consultation in Canberra, and then Sarthak is doing face-to-face consultation in Tasmania. Now, if any questions, concerns, please feel free to come and talk to us, and keep sharing and keep supporting us so that we can bring out more fresh and more updated news in relation to migration updates. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.